Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about some defensive moves the Patriots have made here in the 2024 offseason along the defensive line. Bringing back Christian Baremore, Josh Uche, Anfernee Jennings, as well as signing Armon Watts from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let's get right into it. So the Patriots were able to extend star pass rusher Christian Baremore here to a 4-year, $92 million contract. 42 of that $92 million is guaranteed money. And this is just another move that kind of reinforces this theme of the offseason for the Patriots, which is rewarding prior Patriots who were productive for you in the last season. Christian Baremore was one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL last season. He actually ranked 8th amongst PFF defensive tackles. And honestly, extending him at a young age, hopefully he's going to be a staple of this defense for years to come. He's made improving strides in each of his previous seasons with the Patriots here. And it's just a player that you kind of want to have in the building. Very well liked by his teammates. The coaching staffs have always raved about him. And he really has just been a highlight of this defense in terms of production ever since getting drafted in 2021. So taking a look at Christian Baremore, some of his stats from the previous season. He got 49 solo tackles, or 49 tackles in general. 8 sacks, that was a career high for him on the pass rush front. He had 7 QB hits, 34 hurries, 40 defensive stops, and what they're ranking defensive stops upon is basically kind of non-productive plays by the offense. I believe it's like 3 yards or less, and that's how many times that Christian Baremore was kind of forcing offenses into that play. He had 5 batted balls at the line, which is something that the Patriots really have had a solid amount of players who have done this over the past couple seasons, especially during the past decade. I believe Adam Butler was very good at knocking down passes, as well as just a bunch of other pass rushers who had John Simon, stuff like that. And the fact that Christian Baremore kind of added that to his pass rush game really just even shows the great depth that he's improved upon. As well as he did force a fumble. So taking a look into his grades here, his overall defensive grade was actually around an 84, being an 83.8. A run defense grade of 67.8, which was a big improvement over his run defense grade of the previous 2 seasons. He actually jumped up a whole 20 points in terms of that front, so that really just shows the improvement and the dedication that Baremore has kind of showed to his craft. He had a tackling grade of around 61 at 61.5 and a pass rush grade of 84.9. And as you can see, he was an elite pass rusher, and he really has been that ever since he's arrived in New England. Really, the only concern that the Patriots had with him is on the run defense standpoint. And he's certainly made big improvements on this season. And if they're able to kind of find that kind of run-stopping defensive tackle that I think that they thought they had with Devon Godshaw, it would certainly help, because that would just mean that Christian Baremore could not only take breaks on early downs and kind of be set up for those pass rush downs, but really, if they're able to run kind of that 4-3 front, they're going to be able to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, as well as just being able to contain backs out of the backfield. So taking a look at kind of how he was aligned last season, he actually played 319 snaps from the defensive tackle position. He actually played a little bit of end, 290. Obviously, the Patriots do like to have their linebackers on the edge. Matthew Judon, Josh Uche, Anfernee Jennings. So more so end is kind of just not the defensive tackle in the alignment, but more so just the end. Usually going up either against a guard or tackle. In the Patriots situation, he actually took 290 snaps from there. And he did play 113 snaps from the nose tackle position, kind of that Danny Shelton role, and kind of that area that the Patriots are kind of still trying to find. And if Christian Baremore is kind of able to blossom into that, it's really just going to add another element to this Patriots defense. But looking at his Patriots totals, for 3 seasons, he has 123 tackles, 13 sacks from a defensive tackle. That's very productive. 21 QB hits, 89 hurries, 8 batted balls, 79 defensive stops, a forced fumble. And really just Christian Baremore's been one of the better players in the league on the defensive side, especially at the defensive tackle. Alabama, obviously well known for just kind of producing elite defensive tackles. You had Quinnen Williams from the Jets, and obviously then Christian Baremore with the Patriots here. And it's just a great signing by New England, kind of a culture setter, as well as just giving you a lot of production, especially Colby Covington. I'm sure is going to use Christian Baremore in a variety of ways from that defensive tackle like they did for the majority of last season, as well as the Ed role. And if he's kind of able to replicate that interior pass rush, the Patriots defense is going to pick up right where they left off last season, and hopefully that's what they're able to do. Alongside the extension of Christian Baremore, the Patriots are actually able to re-sign one of their edge rushers, with that being Josh Uche, to a 1-year, $8 million deal. $3 million of that $8 million is guaranteed. The rest are in incentives. And Josh Uche really kind of has struggled to kind of consistently see the field here in New England. He did have that breakout 2022 campaign, and we're hoping that he would kind of build upon that in this upcoming season. Didn't ideally turn out for that like that. It was kind of not a disappointing season for Josh Uche, but certainly leaving a little bit left to desire for. But he came back on a team-friendly contract, and I know his camp said that he reportedly turned down multiple higher offers just to return to New England. And this is kind of reinforcing that theory or the theme that the Patriots have kind of wanted these players to kind of play for the players alongside them. And Josh Uche is well liked. I know Matthew Judon and him are very close together. Obviously, they had a very good pass rushing duo in those two. And that's kind of what Josh Uche has really brung to the Patriots here. I'll get into some of his grades a little later, but just having him back, kind of building that chemistry, that continuity along the defensive line, kind of interchangeable with another signee, Anfernee Jennings, with that being Josh Uche, both in the same draft class as well. It's a good signing, especially for the value and the contract that they brought him back with, and hopefully Josh Uche is kind of going to be able to replicate what he was able to produce in that 2022 season. But taking a look at his 2023 numbers here, he was credited with 37 tackles, 3 sacks, a little bit on the lower side compared to his 2022 season, but it was kind of the norm for his first 2 seasons, so maybe that's just more so the bias of a career year for his 2022 season. He had 6 QB hits, 28 hurries, 6 defensive stops, and when he was targeted, he allowed 4 targets on 5 receptions for 80%. This is kind of a theme here. You really don't want Josh Uche, or who we'll be talking about next, dropping into coverage. Some of their coverage grades are really poor. And I necessarily don't blame the players. That's certainly just not in their skill set. They're more so pass rushers or run stoppers. I know the Patriots defense is going to try and get creative and kind of try and fool these offenses as much as possible. But if they can limit any coverage snaps by Josh Uche, that would certainly be a very beneficial thing for this Patriots defense. So taking a look at his grades here, he had a defensive grade of only 57.1, a run defensive grade of 61.5. He did improve a little bit in the run defense standpoint this season, which is an encouraging sign. However, he did drop off considerably at that pass rush grade, more so just because of how high that grade was in the previous season, especially after the career year he had. He had a tackling grade of 54.6, a pass rush grade of around 67 at 66.8, and a coverage grade of around 29. Really a snaps by alignment. He played on the left side of the edge, left outside linebacker, 164 times, the right side, 150 times, and played a little bit of box, only having 9 snaps there. But really, you're just going to see Josh Uche on the edge. I know the Patriots kind of like to run that 3-4 a little bit, have their linebackers like Matthew Judon and Josh Uche, kind of their edge players more so, kind of be their pass rushers, and that's really what his role is, just playing the edge and hopefully setting the edge for the defensive line here and getting some pressures on the quarterback. But taking a look at his Patriots totals, he has 124 sacks in 4 seasons, or 124 tackles in 4 seasons, 19 sacks in 4 seasons. A lot of that's kind of inflated because of his 2022 campaign, but he also didn't see the field a lot in his 2020. So this is more so kind of technically through 3 years. He had 18 QB hits, 87 hurries, 36 defensive stops, 2 forced fumbles, and 11 total missed tackles for a 19.3% missed tackle rate. That is rather high. You'd certainly like to see him become a more consistent tackler. That's kind of why his run defense has been a little down as well as his pass rushing grade for this previous season. But really, if he's able to clean up that tackling, he's going to be one of the better edge players, if not already in the league. I would say he's certainly an above-average edge player, especially at the pass rush grade level, but he really still needs to continue to kind of bulk up and kind of develop in that run area, per se. And if he's able to clean up some of his tackling, he's going to see a lot more time on the field, which is only going to lead to better numbers. So hopefully he's kind of going to be able to replicate somewhat of that 2022 season. Don't expect double-digit sacks again, but if he's able to get from that 6 to 8 range, like a solid pass rusher will, that's certainly a great signing here by the New England Patriots. Alongside the signings of Christian Baremore and Josh Uche, the Patriots were also able to re-sign outside linebacker Anfernee Jennings here to a 3-year, $24 million contract, $12 million of that $24 in guaranteed money. And once again, this is kind of rewarding players who have been productive for you. Anfernee Jennings, coming off a career year last year, gets a pretty solid paycheck with the Patriots and is able to retain that kind of Patriot way. I know a lot of players are very happy that he's back. It kind of took him a little bit to get consistent playing time, especially along the defensive line. The Patriots have had a pretty solid defensive line these past couple of seasons in terms of pressuring the quarterback, but really developed as a run stuffer. He was always a pretty good run stuffer, but needs to develop in that pass rush area. And he showed a couple of glimpses this previous season in that area, but he's more so going to be that early down linebacker who sets the edge and kind of contains the backs and doesn't let them leak to the outside here. But take a look at his 2023 numbers. He was credited with 52 tackles, had 2 sacks, 2 QB hits, 17 hurries, 46 defensive stops, and allowed 17 receptions on 17 targets for an 100% completion rate. Like I said with Josh Uche, certainly not his strength. I don't necessarily blame him for that, but if the Patriots are kind of able to limit his coverage snaps, that would be ideal for their success on the defensive end here. But taking a look at his defensive grades for this previous season, he had an overall defensive grade of 63.2, a run defense grade, an elite run defense grade of around 86, with that being 85.9, attacking grade of 46.7, and a pass rush grade of 55.3, and a coverage grade of 28. Snaps by alignment, played on the right side, right outside linebacker, 278 snaps, left outside linebacker, 336. Took 14 snaps, slot snaps, and 4 box snaps. Really just sets the edge for the Patriots, especially on early downs. And going over his kind of Patriot totals, 86 tackles, you can see 52 of those tackles happened this season. So that's why the Patriots were able to kind of reward him with that contract. Certainly had a career season so far up to this season. Hopefully he can even expand upon that even more this season. But he has 86 total tackles, 3 sacks, 5 QB hits, 31 hurries, 65 defensive stops, and 2 batted balls at the line. Has 16 missed tackles for around a 12.5% missed tackle rate. That's kind of a little bit of a common theme with Josh Uche and Anfernee Jennings. More so with Anfernee Jennings this previous season. He's more so known as a pretty sure tackler his previous 2 seasons. But with being with the team for 4 seasons, he really only saw the field a lot in 2022 and 2023. He certainly got the most reps this previous season in 2023. But we kind of been waiting for him to kind of break through on that edge. And the previous 2 seasons, that's kind of what he's done. He's kind of established a permanent role. And it's certainly good for him, kind of getting rewarded with this contract that kind of signifies that he certainly should be a consistent edge player for the Patriots for these years to come. And hopefully he's able to kind of expand upon his pass rush grade, kind of add more to his arsenal, even get some more pressures on the quarterback. Because he's been a really good run stuffer so far. And if he's really able to develop in that area of pressuring the quarterback, he's certainly going to be able to see the field a lot more. But I kind of like what the Patriots have kind of done this offseason along the defensive line. Obviously, Christian Baremore just a stud. If you re-sign him, that's going to be a win no matter what. But with bringing back Josh Uche and Anfernee Jennings is most likely going to be that early down linebacker on the opposite side of Dietrich Wise and Matthew Judon, who kind of really sets the edge. And Josh Uche will kind of be thrust into those kind of pass situations where he's able to get some pressure on the quarterback And I think that'd be ideal for the Patriots if Anfernee Jennings is playing early downs and then Josh Uche on pure pass rushing down. So the last move that the Patriots made here along the defensive line was signing Armon Watts from the Pittsburgh Steelers to a 1-year, $3 million contract. And I see this more so as a depth piece for the Patriots along this defensive line. If not, hopefully he can actually take over that kind of Davon Godchaux role and be that run-stuffing defensive tackle to play alongside Christian Baremore on early downs. If Armon Watts is kind of able to take over that role from Davon Godchaux, that would certainly be ideal for the Patriots. Davon Godchaux has really had an up-and-down campaign here in New England. And if he was really able to be that consistent guy for the Pats, then I feel like he would have been him already. But if Armon Watts is kind of able to develop into that role, I think that would be ideal. Pretty solid value for a player of that stature. And taking a look into his 2023 campaign, his snaps were down from his previous seasons in Chicago and Minnesota. I'll kind of delve into those a little later. He was only credited with 8 tackles, 1 sack, 3 QB hits, 12 hurries, and 8 defensive stops. He had a defensive grade of 76.2, a run defense grade of around 74, with being 73.8, tackling grade of 33.8, and a pass rush grade of 65.3. And when you're playing alongside Cameron Hayward and TJ Watt, you don't necessarily have to be a great pass rusher, but he really did take a significant jump in his run defense grade, like Christian Baremore did this previous season. He actually, I think he damn near brought it up 30 whole points. But that could be a credit to playing alongside those two guys. But here in New England, if you're playing alongside Matthew Judon as well as Christian Baremore, that kind of should be kind of the same type of role as Cameron Hayward and TJ Watt play. Maybe not to the same extent as those two players, but it's kind of a similar situation here in New England along the defensive line. But taking a look at work he kind of played along the defensive line, he took 126 snaps at the defensive tackle position. He took 107 end snaps, as well as only 10 nose snaps. So he's not really that nose tackle type role player that I feel like the Patriots kind of desperately needed past couple seasons ever since Danny Shelton has retired or left. But taking a look into his career totals, he's credited with 79 tackles, 9 sacks. I believe 5 of those 9 sacks were actually credited to him in 2021 with the Vikings. That's kind of where he had his breakout campaign, if you want to call it that, so far, with a pass rush grade of around 80 during the 2021 season. He has 11 QB hits, 56 hurries, 69 defensive stops, a batted ball, 2 forced fumbles, and only has a missed tackle percentage of around 11%. So he's kind of able to bring that role of being that run-stuffing defensive tackle like he did for the Pittsburgh Steelers last season. I feel like that'd be ideal for the Patriots. But he could even come in and be a pass-rushing defensive tackle alongside Christian Baremore if the Patriots want to kind of use a 5-man front and send a couple of blitz packages by putting 2 defensive tackles on the field. Or if Christian Baremore really just needs a break, you could put him out there kind of like that Daniel Quale role. I could even see a couple of sets where Daniel Quale and Armon Watts are even on the field together, and hopefully they're able to emulate some of the interior pressure that Christian Baremore does. But if Armon Watts really wants to carve out a role for himself in New England, I feel like it's going to be as a run-stuffing defensive tackle to play alongside Christian Baremore, and hopefully DeMarcus Covington, will be able to carve out that role for him. And hopefully he's going to have a great campaign here in New England. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. A little bit of a longer video. Had a lot to cover here. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And once again, thank you so much for watching. Much appreciated.